Welcome to Cinema Discussions. Today we are talking about War Dogs, 2000,
Pew pew.
Yeah, 2016 American biographical crime, war, comedy, drama film.
Semi-biographical.
That's what it says, yeah. Directed by Todd Phillips. And so before we get into the weeds in it and into the spoilery stuff in it, we're going to give our recommendation. So how would you recommend it to people?
If you are a fan of Jonah Hill and kind of the way he acts, then maybe. I can take him or leave him a lot of the times.
I think a little more than that. I think you don't have to be a fan of Jonah Hill. I think that if you don't hate Jonah Hill,
yeah,
then it's good. Because if you can't stand him at all, of course, this is going to be tough. But
yeah, in this one, he's kind of playing a
he fits for this character.
Huh?
He fits for this character, I think. He's unlikable.
Yeah, it's kind of like he took one of his older characters. I'm blanking on which one it is. Just turned it up another one or two notches.
Yeah.
Apparently I lived through all this happening. It happened in like late 2000s.
Well, one thing I'm going to say,
never heard anything about it,
is that the film's directed by Todd Phillips, who did the Hangover movies, and the trailers are making it look very comedic. And I was going to say, don't be put off by those trailers because
it's not that funny.
It's not like what they're making it out to be. There are moments of comedy in it, but it is much more of a drama.
Yeah, kind of dry, dark humor.
Yeah.
If the kind of dark humor you get where you're the kind of person who's been in and around shit happening for a long time, and you're coping with it.
I compare this a lot to the movie Whiskey Tango Foxtrot. Yeah, most people haven't seen that. It came out earlier this year with Tina Fey and Margot Robbie. And if you saw that movie, this is a similar one. If you like that one, I think you would like this. But for bigger movies, I don't know, it kind of... Scarface, but with younger kids, or not even necessarily younger, but
I guess, yeah, it's a bit of a crime drama.
Lord of War with Nicolas Cage.
Lord of War is a better one of this kind of movie.
Yeah, I think that one did a little better with it. But it's in that kind of vein of it. This is not like The Hangover. If you were thinking of that kind of movie, it's definitely
no, far from it.
It's far from that. This is much more in the style of the way that the guy who did Anchorman went and did the one that got all the nominations last year about the Wall Street and Housing Crisis.
Wall Street.
No, the Housing Crisis one. The Big Short. The way he did The Big Short, which was sort of a stray from his comedy stuff. But actually, this one's kind of similar to Wolf of Wall Street in that kind of style.
In over the top, yeah.
Yeah. It has those elements in it while still having the ties to realism because it's based off true stories, just exaggerated.
Yeah, these two guys who suddenly come into a crap load of money through questionable means. So and they have a rip-roaring life because of it.
So I think if that stuff interests you, then this is a good movie to check out. But it's not a must-see.
Yeah, you can wait for Netflix.
Yeah. I think it's good to check out at some point. This is a good one. But you don't need to stray away from it in any of those ways. So now let's get into spoiler alert in the film. So
the gist of the movie, you got these two guys. One of them has been living in Miami. That's the not Jonah Hill. What was his name again?
Miles Teller.
Yeah. It starts out with him that he is ostensibly the main character.
Yeah, David Peckows.
Yeah. That he's been in Miami working as a massage therapist for a long time, having lots of odds and end jobs, like not really making any money.
Yeah, and then, just doing what he can to survive, but not in a bad way. Just he's
just getting by.
Yeah, just getting by.
Jonah Hill plays a friend of his from elementary school,
Ephraim.
Ephraim, who's been on the West Coast and is now coming back to Miami.
Yeah, supposedly comes for a funeral, but tells David that he's there to see him, and just using the funeral.
Yeah, he's there back in Miami to start up his gun reselling business. What he did with an uncle of his on the West Coast.
Yeah, they buy up stuff at police auctions and then resell them.
Yeah, he's kind of a regular firearms dealer in the beginning point of the movie.
Yeah.
The interesting scene kind of early on when they go around to kind of fuck around Miami for a day, just get reconnected with each other. Ephraim goes up to a guy who's supposed to be a weed dealer.
Yeah,
but he comes back downstairs. There are a couple of black guys sitting on a car. They say they're going to sell him weed. Like I say, like $300. He gives them $300. They pretend it never happened.
Yeah.
Kind of a typical move.
Yeah. They flash their gun on him. Yeah. He's like, oh, okay.
He's like, oh, really?
Goes back to his car.
Walks over to the back of his red BMW. It pulls out like what I think is an MP5.
Yeah, some kind of
yeah. Fires off a few rounds. And they scatter. So that's kind of the change in tone of the movie.
Yeah.
You see where it goes from there.
Yeah, so that's when you've introduced the gun element to it, and it goes there. So the idea of and the stuff that actually happened in this, ever since Dick Cheney kept giving all the military contracts to his family and to his connections,
his company basically,
the whole Halliburton stuff.
Yeah.
Because of that, they had to then open up the bidders to anyone. And that's where you got the ability for your average Joe guys to just be able to sell to the military. And for most people, you're not manufacturing guns, so how can you sell it to that? Well, it's the idea of the reselling and buying them cheap from someplace and reselling to the government.
The weird thing about government procurement, or specifically military procurement, a lot of the stuff they get is what they call COTS, commercially available off the shelf. So like anybody who's got a small business can bid for these requests. You can get like all the way down from like a little like a screw that goes into something else. It might have like a tightening screw, kind of like this on our microphone, and then all the way up to like huge multi-million-dollar procurements.
Yeah, and the as the movie begins, while talking about the money that is involved in war and how the cost of war and the business of it.
Yeah, they had that cool montage. Montage is kind of sadly underutilized, maybe.
Yeah.
While Ephraim is doing this, or no, not the other guy,
David.
Yeah, he's doing a voiceover during this montage, and you start seeing like little dollar signs popping up over everything on the screen. Like how much does this actually cost?
Yeah. And the
kind of an interesting visual thing,
and showing the cynical, possibly true side of things on there, saying talking about showing these enemies of war shaking hands and stuff throughout there. The idea that these wars are continued for the business side of things to keep.
Yeah, heavily implied.
Yeah. Well, he says that war is strictly a business, and anyone who tells you otherwise is either part of it or lying to you, and because they're part of it, or they're too dumb to know otherwise.
Yeah.
Which is a lot of the same stories that you still get in Lord of War with Nicolas Cage. That those same things being told. So this one, each chapter starts off with a quote that's going to be said within the next thing. So like little bits of spoilers before each one, where you get to know like some point they're going to say this thing.
Oh yeah.
But
that was kind of fun.
Encapsulating the idea of each one, and that's kind of made it seem like a book. That can like chapter heading between each one.
Yeah, they give you
one thing that kind of bugged me.
It wasn't. Specifically the beginning and end of the acts.
Yeah.
Chapters within them. Yeah.
Yeah. One thing that kind of bugged me was it's this one moment when they are driving through the Triangle of Death. There's a voiceover narrative that Miles Teller does where he says, so I was, so many months ago, years ago, I was here giving massages and a thing, and now I'm over here doing this. That voiceover just it seemed like it works in a trailer where it's saying like it's summing up things, but for me in that situation, I didn't need that voiceover at all. I was like, I know where you are. I was with you. I've been on this journey with you.
You took us there in the movie.
It's a weird time to break the fourth wall in that one of just can you imagine can you believe this? Where I'm here right now? Like where we started. Remember 30 minutes ago we were
short-term memory.
Yeah. It's just that little thing that just bugged me. I'm like, that doesn't need that. But other than that, I like the storytelling that they did throughout the film. In the way that you're getting to see him being apprehensive about doing it and lying to his girlfriend and fiance, then wife, I think he married.
Probably.
Right? Is played by Ana de Armas. So as he's lying to her about the selling bed sheets, then actually doing that, and so he's first apprehensive about, on one hand, apprehensive about the lying, and then also apprehensive about going into these dangerous places and how is this legal, and it's that thing with like Breaking Bad or any of those other ones where it's I will in Breaking Bad it's I will make the stuff, but then it's out of my hands from that point, and you can't sell it to kids. You can't, no murder. I'm not going to be all any of the violence or any of that stuff. I'm just going to be purely making this because then you'll have a more healthier product for that, and I need money for that. And then start slowly saying, oh, I'll do this much, and crossing the line a little bit more each way. So in this one, until
you eventually end up with his drug empire.
Yeah. So in this one, you got a similar thing going where he's selling in these first ones, and then it's like, okay, well, now we've got a shipment that needs to come from Italy and go to Iraq, but there's a embargo on it, so we can't get them out of Italy.
We can't go there directly.
Yeah, so you've got to do it in a roundabout way. Like, is that legal? It's not illegal. So that's the first. That's
the line that was in every trailer.
Yeah. So that's that next line that he has to cross. So not only is he selling weapons, now it's okay. I'm physically going. I'm no longer just sitting in an office building, making deals and doing that and being in the safety of that. Now I'm being I am actually a trafficker of weapons.
Yeah. Now I'm a gun runner.
Yeah. So
because if the motivations, like if they can't make this deal go through,
they're ruined.
Yeah. They will be shut out of government procurement for 5 years.
Yeah. So they so the only way to keep this going and also to have the biggest deal they've done so far is to actually go out there and do it. So they do that one, and now they've ramped up from that point. Now they're able to cross legal boundaries in certain ways with that. Then they get the huge deal, and they've got to falsify.
They come across the $300 million procurement.
So in order, I can't remember the order of things going on there. When they start falsifying the documents or talking to the guy on the terror watch list first, but
the documents came first because they had to go through the DoD background check.
Yeah, so to do the background check, so they have to falsify all the documents. So now they're falsifying government records. So that's another step that they're going through. Then they're trying to get the deal, and they meet up with Bradley Cooper, I think it is. Or is it?
Yeah, that was a while after the background check.
Yeah. So
Bradley Cooper is a professional.
Yeah. But gun
seller,
and he's on the terror watch list, and so now Miles David has more apprehension about doing business with him from that. Ephraim talks him into it, and like, look, our job is to deal with the people that the government can't deal with directly. It's like, okay, I guess, and he does it with that. So they're all good. They go find the cheap deal on it. We're all good. Check these out. These bullets are all good. We're great. Then they find out that they're Chinese bullets, and like, all right,
all like. And 99,999,980.
Which I thought when he checked out the bullets to begin with, and they had the box already set up for him.
One box there.
My thought purely was, and I watch a lot of magic stuff, especially like Penn and Teller Fool Us, and then think of how magic tricks are done, and like, there's clearly a card force there. They are forcing you to look at this one box. And that's where you go, what about 1, 2, 3, that trailer over there? I'm going to look at the 7th box I find from that trailer right there. Like, if you're picking that out, you find that, and then you're like, okay, that was more of a random selection. Or if they say they have 15 warehouses, take me to one other of these warehouses. Then you get to that one and say, you know what? Take me to the next one. Find that one. Then select a box. Then select a box from that. And if that one is good, then I'll trust the rest of them. You know, but to the first one they lead you to, that point, and you're trusting that they have. Mine wasn't thinking about that they were different bullets than they said, but part of it was saying if they even had them at all, and they were just only deal like what is in those crates, we don't know.
Shipping containers.
So that was there was red flags for me going up for them. But when they find out that they're Chinese ammunition, and so then it's either we have to find another source for this or repackage them.
We've got to find another 100 million and then AK-47 rounds during a worldwide shortage.
So but then the repackaging them, which is then the last. Not the last, but the next big.
Yeah, well, that's the line that gets them caught.
Yeah, that's the line that breaks for them that they shouldn't have stepped over. And while any of the other lines, they're risking it on all the other ones, and they got lucky that they are alive for a lot of the other ones, especially the gun running out of Jordan.
Well, they didn't know they were going through Fallujah.
You should look at a map. It's not going to be safe. Without just thinking of any of that. Gas is free in Iraq. But the idea of running those, so they got lucky with those ones, but in switching out the Chinese ammunition, so now you're screwing over the American government, because I wasn't even thinking about, when they had just said it first, because I don't know a lot about any of this stuff of weapons and all of that. All I know is what I've learned through some movies. And but in them talking about there's an embargo from China, so they can't have that. So that's all I thought of at first was, as they said, just that. But then to say further that it's likely defective, Cold War era stuff, that the bullets don't even work, because they proved that the ones worked, but they're like, no, these are other ones that aren't going to work. So that is a different moral area than just a legal area, because there's the legal embargo from China to say, okay, we can't sell them Chinese ammunition, but then the moral side of it is you're giving our troops bad ammunition. Selling our troops bad ammunition that's not going to work on them. That's just going to be duds. That is a safety issue for your soldiers out there, and that's a big moral thing, that you're willing to sell them that.
I mean, I had to look around it. I don't think our military uses that 7.62 round.
I guess they were just selling it to the police force of. I think if I remember what the dialogue was, it was going from that Albanian storage house, like to our guys, to the government, to the Iraqi police. Yes, you're correct. I remember that they were starting up or ramping up the Iraqi police force. Yeah, and they needed damage for that. But that's still you're giving it to people.
I believe we.
If you're selling it to someone you're selling it to someone to defend themselves.
Yeah,
and with the intention of giving them stuff that can actually work and stuff that's not going to work, and that these characters knew that there was a risk of that stuff not working.
Yeah.
So that's not just a legal line, that's a big moral line as well. And so that's even riskier with that. Then he finds out about them not paying people and about wanting to cut the guy Bradley Cooper out of the deal, as all of that stuff starts going, and Ephraim starts screwing him over.
Ephraim brought all that on himself.
And I think, and they were suggesting, as they showed with the editing of it, that through his cocaine use, that it's making him a little edgier and paranoid. So even before David leaves on the trip, when he's having him sign the agreement, the partnership agreement, he's like not wanting to sign it, but then signs it because he knows he's just going to get rid of it anyway. So it's already unfortunate and terrible. I mean, they were screwing over the guy who bankrolled them from the beginning and falsifying their documents to him, the cleaner.
The silent partner guy.
Yeah, Kevin Pollak. Ralph Slutsky.
Well, I mean, they were screwing him over from the beginning.
Yeah, so like that was definitely their first big line that they crossed on that one. But and should have been a red flag to David that Ephraim is not a good guy to be doing business with, not reliable in those ways. But I think the big kicker in the whole film is the end, where it says that the company's banned from doing business with the government until 2022.
Yeah, not that long.
No, not really. Like from everything that they did, they said, they knew about everything, falsifying the documents, not paying these people, selling Chinese stuff,
got
working
like
with
5 years in prison.
The only thing they didn't say, they said they left out the name of Bradley Cooper's character.
Yeah, they didn't mention him in their testimonies or anything.
So I guess there's that one thing that's but still everything else is said. Even with all of that, it's can't do business with us for a little while. And then after that,
it would have been like, so this was like late 2009. So that was like 10 years. It would have been about 10 years by the time all that trial was finished.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, from like 2012 to 2022.
Yeah, like a 10-year ban.
That's all it is. Ephraim spent a few years in jail.
Mm-hmm.
David got a year of house arrest or something.
Yeah. They showed him with his
they probably got some large fines along the way, stuff like that.
I mean, and
had all the company assets.
The way that they told the story through David's eyes, you felt good that he got the house arrest at the end because you get to spend time with his wife and kid. And you feel that this guy is a good guy who was put into this situation.
Yeah, they make him out to be the not as bad guy.
Yeah, and it is so far painted from his side of like just making Ephraim this horribly unlikable character.
Yeah, it's the same thing with the Wolf of Wall Street.
Yeah,
Jordan Belfort. They by the end of that movie, they made you kind of like the guy a little bit.
But you definitely like this guy more than Jordan Belfort because Jordan Belfort was still just doing so much that you're like, it's the
same idea.
Yeah, but it's a similar idea that if you were if Ephraim had bankrolled this movie and this were told from his side, this would be a very different thing.
Oh yeah,
and I mean, you would have just switched the actors. You would just had Miles Teller playing Ephraim and Jonah Hill playing David, and then go from there. And he's Ephraim's gonna be saying, I want to start this business with you, and his partner being like, yeah, sure, I'm gonna do things my own way and do this stuff. I'm gonna go over here and screw this up. Yeah, like Ephraim's character was so painted that way the whole time of just very flat villain kind of guy.
Just straight up greed.
Yeah.
That's kind of all it was.
So it's a thing of, I don't know the actual guy it's based off of. It's not so horrible that it couldn't exist. That's the thing. But it is enough where it's very one-sided in that storytelling. Yeah. It's not really there. But I think for all in all, Jonah Hill did a good job playing that role. Mm-hmm. It got everything across that needed to be put out, and he didn't seem out of place in it.
Yeah, if you can enjoy him doing that kind of thing.
Yeah, because it can be he can be very unlikable in most things that he does. And so I don't know the guy personally, but I know that in films where he is playing unlikable characters, he is very good.
Unlikable. Very
good at being unlikable. So much so that it's that thing of where I don't want to hang out with Jonah Hill. But then there's some of like the roast and stuff where it's like he's still in that character, but it still seems like he is in on it.
Yeah.
So it seems like maybe he could be a good guy after all, and definitely the people that work with him often, like Seth Rogen, say he's a good guy and they like him. Like,
okay,
he probably could be a good guy, but he's so good at playing that unlikable role that it's just it's tough. And then Miles Teller, he's not. I never see him like super phenomenal in the roles that he does, but does a decent job.
Has he always had those scars on his cheek and chin?
I think so. If I'm remembering other ones, but again, I think I noticed it more in this one, so it could be different. It could be new.
Or maybe the actual guy has them.
You have to look at like Whiplash and the other ones from that, but I thought I'd noticed them.
Yeah, I don't remember them from Whiplash.
Or from, what's those terrible Divergent thingies?
What, the Divergent trilogy?
Yeah, isn't he in those ones? Or was he in a different... What's the one he was in then? He's in one of those teen movie thingy whatevers. Let me click on Miles Teller and find out.
Yeah, but you gotta look that up.
I mean, I've been noticing in a couple of things. There was rumor for a while that he was going to be young Han Solo, but then it ended up going to a different guy. And at part of it, I was like, maybe, but no.
No.
Yeah, he was Divergent. He was in Divergent, Insurgent, Allegiant. He's gonna be the next one. Yeah,
I didn't see those.
Yeah, he was in all. I saw the first two.
I did see the first Maze Runner.
I don't think it's in the next one.
Whatever.
Was he in that one?
No.
Anyway,
that was the last young teen movie I saw.
Yeah. But the Spectacular Now, that was the one of the earlier ones of those movies that I saw him in. Probably the first one I saw him, because I didn't see Footloose or Project X. 21 and Over was the next one that he did after that. Fantastic Four, he played Reed Richards in Fantastic Four, and then that's not his fault. The terribleness of that movie was not his fault, because they had lots of great actors in that film, and that was just so I think
Four Redux.
A lot of the movies that he's in between Fantastic Four and the Divergent series, he's better than those movies. I know that for sure. Because he does great in Whiplash. Though a lot of it's the director and getting that across. But I think he can be a great actor. It's just being used correctly. Again, like the Han Solo would be overusing him and not putting him in the right way. Any actor can be miscast in a role. So I think that there should be good stuff coming from him in the future too.
What do you think about the soundtrack on this one? A very heavy, popular song soundtrack, similar to Suicide Squad.
I didn't really. I don't remember it as much now from it. So I didn't stand out to me, at least to remember it from now, because it's been a little while since I've seen the movie.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think if I remember, kind of like remembering the Suicide Squad kind of thing of that, but not as nowhere near what Suicide Squad did in the terms of bombarding you with it.
Yeah, of all the songs that were not just kind of background songs, they were all fairly well known rock songs to kind of fit with the tone of the movie.
Okay.
That kind of thing, like a lot of stuff, is a very way to easily date your movie and make it not as watchable in the future.
Well, so here's the two sides of that, where this is a film that takes place in the relatively recent past. Yeah. So doing that, not necessarily bad in dating it, because you're getting music of the time. However, there's the whole Scarface thing, which is you go back and rewatch the 80s Scarface, and there's the what is that, Push It to the Limit or whatever the
it's been a while.
There's the montage song that is just 80s cheesy, horrible in the middle of this that just kind of ruins that movie. So there's one thing to say of doing it of the time if it's a film that's supposed to be dated for that time, then time stamping it with music isn't necessarily a bad thing, but we never know in hindsight what's going to be weird, and looking back on it, it's not going to work. So apparently Jesse Eisenberg and Shia LaBeouf were originally supposed to be the two stars of this movie.
I probably would have hated that more.
Yeah, maybe. Well, it all depends. I mean, Shia LaBeouf.
I really hate him.
I don't know who. I guess would Eisenberg play the Jonah Hill part?
Yeah, I guess so.
I think
Eisenberg probably would have been Ephraim.
They're not as clearly defined as each of those to know which one would be which would be East, because I could see either of them wanting to play the Jonah Hill role. I
guess Shia LaDouche would have had an easier time doing that slightly manic energy of Ephraim.
Oh, but
kind of the always on, always working energy.
But when Jesse can get that for between his roles in as Lex Luthor or as Mark Zuckerberg, he kind of has the neurotic part of it, but that controlling villainous kind of thing.
Like the slightly it's the barely controlled energy.
Yeah, it would be different. It would definitely be different with those two. So I think it worked the way it was.
That probably would have been a bad miscasting.
Yeah, I think it was nice the way it was done. And I mean, if you've got Todd Phillips directing it, I think he's good with working with these guys. And having Bradley Cooper in there, that's kind of seemed like an homage to the Hangover works, or at least a connection into that world. So yeah, the film's doing decently because it only cost $40 million to make. It's made $24.6 million, and that's over just this last weekend. So it's doing all right. I think that it's it's not huge hit, because I think that the trailers are definitely misleading in it, because it's not They keep selling it like a comedy. Mm-hmm. They did the same thing with Whiskey Tango Foxtrot, where they sold it as a comedy on the trailers, put all the funny moments in it, and then you get to the movie and it's not that. But the thing is, the people who are going to enjoy the movie aren't going to enjoy the stuff that the trailers are showing. Mm-hmm. And so I know lots of people that saw the trailers and were just like, I'm not interested in that at all, especially because like friends of mine that did not like The Hangover because it was dumb. But so you're selling this movie as from the director of The Hangover, starring Jonah Hill, and showing the comedy moments in it. That trailer is telling me I'm not going to want to watch this.
Yeah.
But then you see the film, you're like, it's actually pretty good. That's a shame for that.
They should have just kept copying Lord of War.
Yeah, I think so. So what did you rate this movie?
3.
I'm at least a 3. I might maybe 3.5. I think I might be keep it at 3. I want to give it 3.5 for a lot of the story that it's telling. Mm-hmm. But then again, I might just rewatch Lord of War. It's been a while since I've seen that one, but I always remember liking it. And
yeah,
dealing with those ones. Maybe if I go back and watch that one, I'll see that it's doesn't hold up or something. But that's always my worry with any Nicolas Cage film. Yeah. Looking back on it, like. Because I really liked Nicolas Cage back in that time, especially because he came up with that one and The Weatherman, and I was like really into the stuff he was doing. But I'm sure I'll look back on it and be like, oh no, I was wrong. Okay, so decent film. Let us know what you thought of the film. You can write in the comments on the YouTube or write to us at magicapetv@gmail.com. You can find us on Facebook. If you're not watching this already on Facebook, you can comment on below on that stuff. Facebook.com/magicapetv. Subscribe to us on iTunes and Stitcher, and it'd be really cool if you give us reviews on iTunes. Just click the little stars. If you don't know what to click, just click 5 stars and say it's great.
Yeah.
Thank you all for listening and watching, and we'll check you next time. Bye.